Doc Rock.
Aloha.
Welcome back to the show and to Seattle.
Bro, we're IRL, bro. I'm iRock Live.
Well, for those who don't know, you're Director of Strategic Partnerships at our show sponsor, Ecamm Live, and you're here for the Seattle Creator Summit, which just happened yesterday.
Mind blown. Hashtag mind blown. I know it's old school, but I'm going to bring that one back.
I love it.
It was legit amazing event. And here's a funny thing. I actually have creators who I am fans of that I kind of forgot that they're in Seattle.
Oh, interesting.
But one that I knew was in Seattle was Miss Mina, right? I've been watching her channel for a long time.
Kids love her
My family
too.
watch her channel together. We love it because she used to go to Japan a lot. She would go to Korea a lot. You know, that's my connection.
Yes.
And then I would also watch it with my family, my other half, mother-in-law, whatever. We're watching that. And my mother-in-law, she just thinks that the internet is smaller than it is. And she's always like, if I go to Japan, like, oh, I'm going to run into Paulo or the Kimono Mom, right?
Yeah.
If I go to Seattle, every time I've been here, oh, maybe you're going to run into Mina.
Okay.
Yesterday, I'm standing next to Mina. I'm like, yo, I got to send my mother-in-law a picture because she loves her and her mom. And so, like, I sent it to mom, and mom's like, hi, Mina, how are you doing? Come to Hawaii and visit us. It was so cute, but, like, I didn't know I would run into her.
That is awesome.
And then, like, Scott, I'm a 3D printer guy, so, you know, Scott Uton was there. So, yeah, it's like I totally forgot, you know, like, he's in Seattle. Like Andrew, who I've been with forever.
I know.
Forgot he's in Seattle.
Yes.
Oh, man, Andrew. Yeah. And, you know, I'm so privileged to have all these relationships, and it's my community, so it's like a normal thing. How many times I've heard from other creators about other creators being there, like Alex Key, one of the speakers, long-form vertical videos on TikTok, spoke. I had at least 5 people like, I cannot believe you had Alex. And I didn't realize how many creator fans he would have in addition to his like just
I think
general
we
audience.
forget that a lot of the people that watch us are also creators.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Well, see, mine's a little different because I'm coaching creators, like that's an expectation.
Yeah.
But I've been just out and about in the street and have people run up on me and say, hey, we've been thinking about doing this podcast and we've been watching your videos. Yesterday, Justin comes up to me and he's like, yo, I just deep dived on all of your dual mode, you know, tutorials.
Yes.
And like, dude, they were epic. They were exactly how I
Justin
wanted them to
Kana?
be. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, yo, here's what's funny. And I hope everyone hears this, bottom of the heart. As I was making those, because I was rushing to pack to come see you guys, I was feeling like I did like a 75.
Oh, okay.
And I knew I had space to do a 100.
Fair.
So I was feeling some type of way about it.
Yeah.
And then Justin tells me, oh my God, it was perfect. I loved it. And I'm like,
It's funny, right? Like I feel
really
like it's a
though?
common thing, right?
Overthinking.
Exactly.
But yet the person who needed to hear it heard it. And I told everyone this. I look for one person to tell me it solved their problem. Everything after that is extra garlic chips. You know what I mean? If I can solve one person's deal, I'm good. We get so hung up on trying to just views for everybody.
Yes.
You just need to make one person happy. Everybody else is considered a bonus. That way you get more bonus, dog.
Yes, that's very true. Well, you know, one of the things I want to talk a lot more about the event, and I'm going to set the stage a little bit, describe for those who weren't there what went down. But I want to tell a little story about the event first. And actually, I want to tell a backstory as well. But first, the story about the event. So we were up early on the day of, just yesterday. And Benji and I walk in, and we're there at the event venue. And I'm asking him, hey, we got to finish up some of the speaker introductions. Let's go up to the keynote and write those in right beforehand, make sure that they look good for you, test out, you know, that's what you got to do before these types of things. And I'm pulling him away from the rest of our team. And he's in the middle of something. I was like, hey, Benji, just when you have a second, you should, you know, come over and let's get this done. And he's like, okay, let me come. I'm like, no, finish what you're doing. I don't know what he's up to at this point. And he tells me, he's like, I look over and I see that he's on, what app are you using at that point to order?
Doc to order. Oh, Instacart.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So he's on Instacart and he's ordering a bunch of things from Instacart. Okay. And I kind of asked what's going on. He's like, oh, I'm ordering the mixers because we had, you know, an after party basically.
Yeah, the mixers for the bar, for the drinks.
Exactly. And so we still had to get those over and things like that. So they were going to get delivered to where we were, and then we were going to put them into his truck and get them over there, and then, you know, make it all work. And we go up to the stage. He follows me along. He's like, okay, we'll just finish that in a second. And we start writing these things out. And I ask you after we're finished writing them out, like, how are you feeling? And you're like, well, I'm feeling pretty good, right? The only thing I'm worried about is the drinks tonight. That's the only thing I'm worried about.
Like getting them to the venue.
Yeah, getting them to the venue. And so I'm kind of like, oh yeah, well you should, like, we're done here. Go and take care of that. It's all good. And so I assume, I don't know what happened between then and the rest of the night or the rest of the day, but I'm assuming what happened is that they came in because it was Instacart, and I know that some of our team helped load it into your truck, right? And then I'm gonna say, well, let's take a step back. At this point, the event begins, right around kind of mid-morning, I would say. And the first kind of half of the day, right before lunch, I would say heavily I was on stage there kind of shepherding things along, would give you some time to kind of like get things ready. Of course, you're emceeing us all the way there. Now, on the second half of the day, very heavily you were doing all the interviews, you had to do all the introductions, like you were doing the heavy brunt of the load. Of course, what we didn't plan for is that if you're doing that and also you're helping plan the event, well, people might be trying to get a hold of you. So anyway, we get to 2 or 3 speakers into the second half of the day, and I get this text from one of our friends, and it says, "Hey, we got an issue. Are you with Benji? Because people are blowing up his phone. Something's going on." I'm like, "Oh, well, it seems like this is urgent. He's on stage right now. Should I try and get his attention?" And she's like, "Yeah, you should try and get his attention." I'm like, okay, all right, well, what's going on here? And so I kind of walk my way up the aisle, walk my way down the other side. And of course, you're interviewing someone at that point. And so I don't want to distract the other person. I want to try and wave you down. So I put myself as far to the right side of the room as possible because you're on the left side and looking over. I'm kind of waving like a madman, trying not to distract everybody. And you finally catch it. And I would like pick up my phone. I'm like,
yeah,
check your phone. I'm not saying it, right? So you look at it and you're like, okay, oh, you realize what's going on, right? Which is that they don't have the mixers, right? They don't have the drinks. And so you kind of tell me what to do. And we're like, okay, we're going to shuttle these across. And it all resolved well. We got the team, we loaded up in the vehicle, we went down there, and it all worked itself out in the end. But I just thought it was hilarious that the one thing that happened was the one thing you were worried about at the very beginning of the day. So.
Yeah. Well, credit to the team. Literally, it was a perfect event in terms of
100%.
execution, except the one thing that I said I would do that I should have delegated and had someone do the day before, and it was supposed to get done, and it's just the way things are. I mean, it worked out. The drinks that we made from those mixers, I don't know if you tried those Palomas.
No, you're great. But the funny thing is, this is normal.
Yes.
Yeah.
As a person who does events all year long, I want you to know that is absolutely normal. And it's always the one thing that you tell yourself not to do. Yeah. That's the one, right? Yeah. And it's super funny because I heard about Nucci's power cord situation with the RCP. Bro, I've done it so many times that now I have it in a box. And I tell my team, if you need another power cord, let me know. I will order you one. Never remove it from the box to protect me from me. Like nobody else touch it. If you touch it now I will kill you. But it's super funny. I love those kind of stories though, because I think one of the problems our entire industry has, soup to nuts, is everybody tries to be perfect. And I just want to let people know that is a fallacy. It doesn't exist. But in a way, those things make it real. Right?
Totally.
Because it also gives you an opportunity to learn to be flexible, which is actually a better skill.
Yeah, that's very true.
If it's always perfect, you don't end up with any skills. And then anybody can do it. And then that's your unique selling point. That's your superpower, if you will, is resolving these things. So,
yes.
in a way, I'm not going to wish it for you the next time. I'm glad you had this experience because now it sets you up, but it also lets other people know that even the goat's, human.
Yeah, we get that important lesson, right? That's
Correct.
one really big takeaway. But it also gives us an incredible story to tell on the podcast, which this week is sponsored by Ecamm Live.
I know them people.
The powerful live streaming platform for Mac. Now, I promised that there was going to be even a little bit of a backstory because there was one interesting thing that happened right before the event, which is that I think was it April 1st or was it March 31st?
March 31st.
March 31st. And I misspoke here, not Ecamm Live. It's just Ecamm
It's
now.
Ecamm now, yeah.
So 2 big things happened. A huge rebrand of Ecamm and then also dual mode. I kind of want to take it in that order really quick, Doc, if you're okay talking about it, because the big rebrand is really interesting
It's
philosophically.
very important.
Yeah.
It's very important to me. I won't say it was my idea, but I definitely pushed the hardest. It may have been my idea. I'm not sure. I don't want to take credit for it if it's not. But at one point I was like, boss, we really have to get rid of the word live. And then she was like, I don't know if the twins, our developers are twins.
Yeah.
She says, I don't know if they'll be down for that because it's kind of their baby. I go, I fully understand. I'm not going to get fired over it. However, so many people are terrified of life. They don't need to be. And if Benji and I have anything to do with it will go away at some point. But it's a new mission. Like, we're starting it. And people need to understand this is a very powerful desktop production tool, not just a live streaming tool. And I feel like many people avoided looking at Ecamm because they thought it meant live streaming only. And the reality is, in any software, not just us, you don't have to go live. You could always just use them for recording. Just don't press the live button. Just press the record button. It's the same thing. But I feel like getting rid of that and letting people know we're giving you broadcast quality production tool in your computer for a very nominal fee. It's amazing. And I come from broadcast world. I was talking with Guy Cochran yesterday. I'm like, what we do at Ecamm, you well know, was easy $3-4 million worth of studio equipment, and we're not even adding cables yet. And cables is the most expensive part of studios. Most people don't know that.
Neutrally shaking his head over there.
Dude, cables are bank. These ain't, you go to Home Depot or Walmart or Best Buy, buy cables. These are like, SDI cables.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. Don't come cheap. So I feel good that we got rid of it. There's a lot of, what would you say, connection to the old brand because I cut my teeth on it and we grew on it. But if we can make ourselves more open for more people, and anybody can use it. Yeah. I mean, if Nucci can do it, anybody can do it.
Hey, let me add to that because we are proof of it. So obviously we connected with Ecamm, previously Ecamm Live, because we want to live stream, but I'm all about making the most of your time. So it is a production tool. And what I mean is it lets us edit in real time.
100.
Not just our cooking show and our, Creator Secrets podcast show. We've already filmed a stage play, right? Yeah. People putting on a play and real-time edits. So that director, I always volunteer for this community event. That director always has like a 2-week editing session with my team. I want to say it's me, but it's really the team trying to edit this thing. It was ready the moment the play was done because of Ecamm. Shout out to Neutrally, okay? And now we're using this right now. We're live streaming, but we would totally edit this up. In fact, don't we have an interview that we've shot that hasn't come out yet, right? Yeah. And that was, again, that would have been multiple cameras that gets archived, that gets put in a hard drive, that gets sent to the editor, and they've got like 3 layers of, content from different angles of the same thing, and they would have to cut it up because of Neutrally using Ecamm. That interview is already done, right? So the power of it, and I love it because creators are really busy, and I'm going to really tee up the next part. And if you can make the most of your time, not only skipping the editing, but now going both horizontal and vertical. And that's what's mind-blowing because I think there's a lot of opportunity missed when you pick one or the other, and now you don't have to pick.
No, you don't have to choose, right?
So can you explain dual mode?
Yeah, so dual mode, we wanted to do it differently. A lot of guys are auto-cropping. Yeah. A lot of guys are using AI tools to do sort of repurposing where the AI tool tries to find your gems and it sort of crops for you, even tries to switch people. Like if you shot like Benji and I are side by side right now, it would try to move back and forth. Many times it's showing the wrong person during the talking, especially if our voices are similar. Yes. Definitely not similar. I speak straight gangster and he doesn't. So, but the AI might get it wrong. Benji might mention Wu-Tang one time and now the AI is confused. Why is he mentioning Wu-Tang? But I love the fact that we approached it from you can intentionally design each layout specifically for that. And that means for specific platforms because the old model was I make a video and I put it on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube Shorts, the same video. They don't have the same behavior. They don't have the same psychology. Yeah. So even doing that was kind of bad. It's just different. The weird start-stop thing that is a TikTok or the sort of loop situation doesn't necessarily work the same on IG or YouTube. Or you would have the TikTok badge on the other 2 platforms. Mm-hmm. They definitely do not like that. Mm-hmm. So now you can design it intentionally. Like if I'm showing the screen on the horizontal, I'm sorry, I'm not going to show the screen on the vertical. and I'm going to tell people, hey, if you want to see the full, go to this. Now you're hooking.
Yeah,
right?
that's very true.
So it's just really set up nice. And yes.
I mean, even just the idea of having that exposure, right? And Benji, maybe you can talk a little bit more about this here. But we've noticed on your live cooking show that having that dedicated stream, even within the same platform on YouTube, has had multiplicative effects in terms of you being able to reach new audiences. That's one of the things you spoke about yesterday at the event.
Yes, totally. So, and to explain dual mode to the creators that doesn't understand all the production talk, I'm now live streaming horizontal to proper long form YouTube, and now vertical to the shorts tab, and then it lives on as a vertical video. So before, when we were doing multi-stream, which was doing both, the vertical video disappeared and was just a horizontal, which was fine, right? That's where I wanted the views to happen. The vertical video now, because of dual mode, lives on as its own video. So it's 2 different videos. In the future, YouTube's going to make it so it's one video. I won't talk a lot about that. It's coming in the future. That vertical video is not only getting me more views, but it's getting discovered by a new audience. And when you tap into a new audience, whatever that demographic is, wherever they're coming from, that's amazing. Because that's people that's not subscribed to you. That's people that's just not watching your content that you might not otherwise have connected with. And because of dual mode, and I don't know if I should share what that demographic is.
Yeah,
but it's a common theme with other creators that are streaming or live streaming vertically, and it's an older demographic. I never put one and one together.
Why he looked at me when he said that?
No. Because you're gonna tell the second part of this. Okay. I'll tell you the first part. Okay.
Nice setup, boss.
when
he exalts me and calls me old. No, I am old though. I know it.
When I am seeing my mom on social media, she's always holding her phone, and it's vertical.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That might be Facebook. It might be whatever platform she's using. She rarely turns the phone to watch anything horizontally. So it's just comfortable. We already know this because of TikTok. I didn't realize that older demographic. That's why I'm being discovered by them, because now I have a live stream that's catering to how they're holding their device. And guess what the second device is? The tablet. So those 2 devices are, number 1 and 2 in terms of like where the consumption's being happening, but it's just this demographic, and it's like exploding my views. But what you told me literally just yesterday,
I didn't tell Austin yet, and so I can't wait to melt nephew Austin's mind.
Yeah, this is the reason why that demographic likes these live streams and never put one and one together.
Okay, so if you're doing these things and you're doing sort of dual mode streaming, and you notice that your demographic is ranging 45, 60 plus on the vertical platforms, or just in general, regardless of the platforms, it's because my generation, I'm Gen X, and then some of the boomers above me, and I call them geriatric millennials, which, Benji and Katie, they sort of belong to that, right? They're the millennials that were on the cusp.
Yes.
We grew up watching live TV. And it doesn't have to be live. All the Happy Days and Friends and the other shows around that ilk, that came out at that time, it always says recorded in front of a live studio audience.
Yes, yeah.
Saturday Night Live, recorded in front of a live studio audience.
Yeah.
The news, football, like the whole 9 yards. Your Jerry Springers, your Oprahs, Sally Jesse, Raphael, Ricky Lakes, the whole 9 yards, and recorded in front of a live audience, right? You go down, Dimple Chin, Stephen Colbert, Jay Leno, it will come to me. Dave Letterman, all of them guys, live studio audience. We are accustomed to a live recorded show. It is what we were cut our teeth on.
Yeah.
Soup to nuts.
Not just that, it's just what you're comfortable with.
100%.
And there's been a lack of it because
100%.
we've gone to produce shows that aren't in front of a live audience, right?
Yes.
That aren't recorded live and not like on live TV, because we've gone to these streaming things. So it's like this, I've seen this happen before where there's this huge demand but lack of content.
Correct.
So that's why there's this boom in views.
That's very
true.
true.
And this is the thing, it's not like I was trying to target these generations, and there's nothing wrong with it. But it's just an
don't
aha
talk about
moment.
My generation. I'm
yeah,
sitting
for sure.
right here.
It's an aha moment for me, because it means there's a lot of opportunity to build your audience, and why not have both audiences? So it's kind of crazy, because this is the
I want to
thing.
give you one last gem that nobody thinks about. And okay, so one other thing that's very important to understand: my generation, we didn't know about things like ADHD. But a whole bunch of my friends, like myself, I only recently got diagnosed. We're starting to figure out why we are the way we are, right?
Yeah.
We a whole bunch of us are undiagnosed. So we're good for putting the TV on as a distraction, but we're kind of multitasking. Everyone says you can't multitask, but those of us that have a polymathic brain, we absolutely can. And the reason why people don't think you can is because the normies can't. You know,
Yeah.
but neurodiverse, neurospicy, we call it. Neurospicy people absolutely can. So that's on because I need that on because that's a calming sedative that allows me to focus on something else. So we do a lot of having it on while we do other things.
Yes.
But what everybody's missing the fact about 45 to 60 Gen, we got money. So everybody's
deal.
trying to get the young kids to buy things. The young kids are like, yo, they're all about dudes, which I love for them. Because my generation was crazy. We were all about Jordache and Sassoon, and you had to have the right Nikes. We were very brand loyal,
Yeah.
even if we couldn't afford it, which
Yeah.
was bad. It put us in debt. These guys are like, if I can find a similar quality from Uniqlo or from Quince or GU or some of these other brands that are out there, hey, I'm not spending the money on the needless markup stuff.
yeah.
I'm gonna spend the money. So your guys' generation love a good dupe, right? But our generation, we actually have the money with nothing to spend it on. And because of a lot of us are undiagnosed ADHD, we have addicting habits. And one of those habits is buying things. So you have a very capable market that no one's talking to because everybody's trying to target people with no money.
Very true. Yeah.
Don't get it. I mean, like, oh, boomers go away. Yo, boomers got more money than us. Stop picking on them. They got lots. They got hundreds of thousands of dollars sitting around with not that much time to spend it, and they be looking to spend it.
And they are on these devices.
Well, and
100%.
in particular, they're on the live streams that are vertical, which is one of the things that this has enabled. That the dual mode has enabled you to do using Ecamm, because otherwise we wouldn't have been reaching that audience in the first place.
Correct.
I mean, it really speaks to the power of meeting the audience where they're at. And it's like such a night and day thing for me because we had like little bits of it, and I was trying to describe this to someone last night at the after party, where we could kind of see some of this information when you had the streams together, but it was stark as soon as we separated them out, and we could see it in that detail that audience you were reaching them at that place. And so it goes to show you that those little tweaks are sometimes the one thing that can totally change the outcome, which is just, it's profound. It really is truly profound. But it also shows that I mean, I guess the secondary piece of that is that it's worth it to experiment a little bit.
You have to experiment as a creator, and the amount you experiment is based off of where you're at in the journey. When things are working, you don't experiment as much. I'd say like 5% of the time. When things aren't working, you got to experiment with everything.
Yeah.
And that's actually, and it's not like things weren't working for me. Like vlogs were hitting.
Totally.
I'm teaching vlogging. The new vlog method is for this huge demand on the TV viewership, long form content. But I'm always thinking in the future.
Yeah.
And that's why, one of the things, like the title of today's podcast is what you need to know as a content creator in 2026. And this was one of the themes of the event, the Seattle Creator Summit, live streaming, but not in the IRL way. That's not going to go away. That's going to probably keep growing. But it's these like small setups, right? And we just put out this video, right?
Yes.
Laptop, 2 DJI Osmo Pocket 3s. It's incredible. We're using some upgraded gear here. Shout out to Obsbot for sending us these cameras. But we use a Osmo 3. Yeah. So we're experimenting, and we're like, this is why I say, like, most people that own Ferraris, they keep it inside of their garage, right? No, we are taking it out on the road. We're pedal to the metal, and this is why it's been fun the last 4 months, really, to use Ecamm, because we've been using it in so many different ways. And it's like a powerhouse tool.
100%.
And this discovery of the vertical live stream from the dual mode was like a huge aha moment. And you better believe I'm going to be doing way more live streams because of it, but I wouldn't have been able to do it if I didn't experiment.
And if you want to experiment with Ecamm Live, you can try it for yourself with the free trial at the link in the show notes. You can use code BenjiTV15 for 15% off your first month. Again, link in the show notes. Start the trial. Use code BenjiTV15 for 15% off your first month. Thank you to Ecamm. Not just your powerful live streaming app for your Mac, but your Mac's Creative Studio now.
Yes, your Max Creator Studio. And honestly, if they decide to go annual, like, you know they want it. Like that's what happened to me.
Yeah.
I saw it right away. I knew what I was gonna do. I was all in. Also, this is gonna sound weird. I like to punish myself from spending money because I am a little bit cheap and I don't like wasting stuff. My Korean upbringing was you can't waste anything. So if I buy it, I gotta use it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so I put myself in that position because it would make me use the product.
Yes.
But if you do an annual, you'll get 15% off that as well.
Amazing.
Whether you do annual or monthly, which whatever your first payment is, that's what it is.
Yeah, and I definitely recommend trying it out. Let's get into some of the topics here. And today is really just one big topic, which is a recap of what we saw at the summit. I want to sort of break things down, do a small recap of all the speakers, and really get a chance to kind of debrief about the things that we learned from the folks that we got to talk with and the folks that we got to hear from. Starting with Sean. So Sean Cannell, CEO of Think Media, I had the privilege of interviewing him up there on stage.
You did a fantastic job.
Oh, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I had a great time. I've never gotten to do that with Sean before, and I feel like I learned a ton in terms of the way that he was thinking about it. And if I had to say that there was one big takeaway for myself in terms of what he discussed, it is that he told me that he thinks that if you're a creator starting in 2026, or if he was a creator starting in 2026, I should say, he would begin with the business model first and then work backwards to the content. That was totally backwards from what I would have thought in the past, but it makes a lot of sense to me, right? That you have to know how you're monetizing from day one.
Correct.
So I'm curious about what your reactions were hearing that from him, because I don't know, have you guys talked about that in the past?
100%. I mean, that's been kind of his MO from the very beginning in a
Really?
good way, right?
Yeah.
Because he's thinking about how do I make this sustainable? You know, one of the number one killers of creativity is when you're broke, okay?
Yes.
Some people thrive on that and maybe get a little bit of almost like, it's like source material, okay? Like starving artists, sometimes the best paintings come from that era.
Lights a fire.
But, you know, as a creator, generally speaking, you got to pay the bills. So if you're working a day job, okay,
Yes.
or you're overwhelmed financially, then it's just hard to be free creatively.
Yes.
And so he understands that. Now, me, I'm more a purist on the side, like, focus on the creativity. Yeah, you got to pay the bills, but man, this is what's going to make you a star, make you famous, and this is what the audience cares about. They actually maybe don't care about your pocketbook. So we kind of balance each other out, and we talked about this in YouTube Secrets. And I think why he said it, though, today in front of that audience is because the economics and the creator economy are just changing. You know, we had Anita, I don't know if we're going to go through all the different speakers,
we will,
right?
yeah.
But Anita, the attorney that I've been working with, talked about how, man, the last 5 years, everything's been flipped upside down. Brand deals have really changed. They're not paying the same way. I mean, there's still like big brand deals, but it's really spread out. Some of the tools and techniques and just like strategies that brands have, advertising have changed. And, you know, we talked a little about UGC creators. So you really have to think through this. And I think he even said, you got to save money, right? For a rainy day.
Yeah.
And that was maybe a little bit more surprising because he's saying if you're a creator and you're making money, because I have told him about like in my vlogging world, how many famous vloggers, daily vloggers went and bought the mansion.
Oh, no.
Bought
Yeah.
the nice ride.
Yeah.
And a lot of these people didn't peg me as like very showy.
Yeah.
But they just maybe never dealt with money. They never had this much opportunity. And man, 90% of them sold the house, sold the nice cars, moved back to wherever home is for them. And it's just good wisdom. Also, we're just getting older.
Yeah,
right? Like when
that's
I
fair.
started, I was like, what, 23 maybe? And now I'm 42. So I've got kids, I've got a family. I have to think about the future. So it's just like sage wisdom, but very important. And there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
There is nothing wrong with thinking what the business model is. And in fact, not enough people think about it. And that was my take. I wasn't surprised by it. It was just like how hard he went and just the nuance of like save up for a rainy day if you are making money as a creator.
Doc, what about you?
I think one of the big ones is, number one, I'm a huge fan of Simon Sinek.
Yeah.
And I just absolutely love that dude's brain. He's on my list of I would love to go have a burger at Woody's with. you know?
Yeah.
And when Sean flipped it on Start With Who, because for me, I started YouTube back in 06, okay? And that sounds great, but I really didn't do anything with it until about 2019. Like I was putting things here and there, doing the drive-by posts, no schedule, no rhyme, no reason, whatever. When I decided I wanted to get serious, I was literally going to do a travel channel. But right when the pandemic hit, I was like, I've always been the highest and best use. That's a military training, right? This person needs to be where their highest and best use are. So for instance, they don't make medics do some of the dumb cleaning stuff because we're better off fixing people and not standing guard duty,
Yes.
right? And that, of course, that makes the other people mad because they got to stand guard duty when we're supposed to be up.
Yeah.
But when I realized that my goal was to get people like me who have businesses to use video to connect when no one can come to you in person, and you had to still run a business on, Zoom or some other conferencing program from home, I found out who my who was. It completely changed. I went from 1,500 subscribers to 20,000.
Wow.
Because I knew the who.
Yeah.
I wasn't just talking to YouTube.
Yeah.
And something I learned from a mentor many, many years ago, but somehow with YouTube, it didn't connect. If your audience is everybody, if your customer is everybody, your customer is nobody.
That's very true.
That's business school 101. And too many creators are stuck on just collecting stats. And even the term vanity metric isn't fair because for some people it's not vanity. They just think that I need to collect stats in order to be validated.
Yeah.
And truth is, you can get a brand deal with 100 subscribers.
Yeah, that's true.
If you can prove that all 100 subscribers will spend $300 on what the brand is selling the next day,
Yeah.
they don't care because that 100 sales is a guarantee. Picking somebody with 50,000 subscribers that might get 10 sales, that's not a guarantee, right? So Daryl Eves told me this years ago. He has a creator, has 1,200 subscribers, but the dude prints like, $2 million in business every year.
Wow.
Because what he's selling is a high-end financial vehicle product. He only needs that many to print a lifestyle.
And because he knows his who.
Because he knows his who is. So when Sean said that, that was massive, and I think a lot of people, and I know what mine is, and it worked for me, so I realized that is something that everybody really should think about.
Well, I think that those two things are kind of aligned, right? The idea of knowing your who and then also knowing the business model, right? Like you said, it's sort of business 101 to know who your who is, right? Yes. And without knowing who you're reaching, you don't know how to serve them. And really, ultimately, that's what all businesses are trying to do, hopefully, is serve the people that they're trying to reach, right?
Correct.
We're talking a lot about brand deals, so maybe we can jump ahead a little bit here to talk about Anita, right? Because Anita really, Anita is your lawyer, Benji.
Yeah.
You want to give her a little introduction here about how you guys connected? What the background was?
I've been a creator now for 18 years, and 10 of those years I've been working with an attorney who's represented me for my contracts, legal negotiations, and representing me. So not negotiating for brand deals terms, but just like making sure everything's all on the up and up on the contracts. Before that, I was reading them all myself, working with different attorneys. And so she's really made our lives a lot easier. And so this is the first time very publicly she's able to talk to an audience of my fellow creator friends. And that's what she did. She talked about the creator economy. She talked about today's brand deals. And I kind of mentioned it. She said, like, everything's really changed, right?
Yes.
There was like this heyday, like these crazy epic YouTubers getting like the biggest brand deals, my wife being one of them. And there's still a lot of opportunities, but now there's just so much competition.
Yes,
There's long form, there's podcasts, there's short form, there's UGC, right? I'm not going to get into all of the nitty gritty, but because she has like one of the biggest in terms of representing creators in New York City, her firm represents the most. She kind of observes the most.
Yeah.
And so it was very insightful. And for me, like the quick takeaway, even because we didn't talk about what we're going to talk about, I just said, hey, I want you to comment on the creator economy, talk about brand deals. It's just the fact that you have to be willing to adjust right now because it's more volatile than ever. It's not as steady. So things could be really high one day and really low. And that used to happen like on an annual basis. I made the joke like January to March. Usually it's like the slow months for creators.
God.
But now it could be like out of nowhere, you don't get any deals for like 6 weeks. And then like after that, it's like goes really up. And it just like right now it's the Wild West again.
Yeah.
It is weird that it's the Wild West, but also exciting because if you know this, you can readdress your strategy. And that's what she was kind of sharing with the audience.
Yeah.
You can plan for things.
Yeah, and what I would agree that my big takeaway at the beginning was just that she was saying that we have kind of exited the golden era, is the word that she used, right? That there was a period of time for brands where they didn't necessarily know how to value creators' work.
Well, they
right?
were just looking at the vanity metric of the views.
Oh, that's true. She did
and
mention that.
subscribers, followers, rather than getting into the nitty gritty and really thinking about what's engagement like. She said that actually is being weighed more than ever. She said that also conversion really matters. Also, like what kind of traffic are we getting?
Yeah.
And they've got so many more tools at their disposal as well. And what's kind of interesting too is the big firms are kind of sharing in the opportunities with all these smaller, she called it like influencer agents.
Micro influencers.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the agencies.
Oh, the agencies,
And
yes.
she was saying like sometimes there's agencies that pop up and they go away like a month later. And that's the Wild West,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
So that, to me, I think that, is definitely something she said about brand deals. You can be a micro influencer or have a smaller audience, but like if your engagement is really high and you're converting, that's what they want to see ultimately. My take though from that is they're just spreading out their budgets to way more creators. And that's a whole
definitely
nother
true.
discussion
Yeah.
that we did get into then.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they also there's a lot of the Madison Avenue who tried to go and build digital divisions, but they tried to build digital divisions based off of the Chite and Ogilvy, Mapplethorpe, traditional marketing models. Let's just call it Mad Men for the people that don't know marketing degree speak. Let me speak normal people. They're trying to be like Mad Men.
Yeah.
They're trying to build these like ad agencies, but then the digital versions. But they're still trying to create content as if it's made for a traditional television ad or newspaper ad or, web, circular, whatever. They still haven't really got a grasp on the way organic works.
Yeah.
And the brands that get it, they crush it.
Yeah.
The brands that don't get it, they make really cool ads, and sometimes they're funny, but those ads don't convert.
Yeah.
So if your goal is top of mind, I remember your brand name, they're crushing that.
Yeah.
But like people actually converting that into tangible sales or buying something, investing their money in these proper banks, whatever, like it may or may not work. And so when Capital One went and built all of these cafes, hoping that they would get more people to do products.
Yeah.
And they found out, people came to get coffee and use the internet.
Yeah.
Like the idea of me getting coffee and the internet, and while I'm here, let me start a bank account. Come on, son. That just didn't make any sense. I loved it. I used it.
They didn't know they're who.
They didn't know they're who,
Yeah.
right? They were thinking of the wrong way.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that now, and I just want creators to know, you do have opportunities to get brand deals. I probably wouldn't think brand deals right away. It's something that I would have in my head, but I wouldn't be like trying to set myself to do that because it can cause you to ignore your audience. If you can game plan it properly where you can focus on your audience and keep that in your head, if you can juggle both of those balls, you're good. You're gonna get there. But if you can't, don't feel stressed out. Focus on your audience first. Because if you can't convert, the worst thing is you get that brand deal and you get nothing.
Yeah.
That's more embarrassing because now you go on the list.
Yeah.
Then, hey, have you ever, don't think they don't know each other.
Yeah.
Hey, have you ever worked with so-and-so? I was like, yeah, we worked with Pat like 8 years running. Somebody asked me, hey, should you work with Pat Flynn? Yes, done. Stop talking to me. 100%, he's go. Right?
Yeah.
Certain creators, I work with them. There's other creators that we work with that were not able to do what they said they were able to do. And they had a dope stat sheet.
Yeah.
Right? Stats did not make Edwards score the gold-winning goal. Okay? Hockey is how he scored that, and with a missing tooth. That's how he scored the goal. So you got to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
And I love the way that she kind of explained that. And the other thing that she put in my head, which I just thought was so dope, is that she's selective about who she hires as clients. Because when I was doing my graphic design and fabrication business, I was also select. I would fire clients.
You're talking about Anita?
Yeah. I think it's important. Too many people think, well, everybody's my client. And this is how creators take on brand deals that don't really match, and then they can't make the content for it, and then they go to the internet screaming about creator burnout.
Yeah.
I'm like, you created that problem.
Yeah.
It's called procuring cause.
Yeah.
Is what her and Andrew were talking about.
Yeah.
Like, or if well, not Andrew, it was Tyler. If I get this deal and somebody else gets this deal, how does the deal work? That's procuring costs. And she's like, no, we're in. We're family. That's like how I go. So I love that as well.
She did also.
Brilliant.
She said one more thing that I think was a good takeaway for anyone that's a creator. Brands are looking for longer form content.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
So I just talked about how shorter form really disrupted the creator economy, and they're looking for as many short form content creators as possible. Now UGC creators, which oftentimes are like short form vertical content, but we didn't go into a lot. But she was saying, yeah, we want longer form content as a brand. And I think that has a direct relationship to engagement, which I think is a result of relationships, trust, and just know, and trust somebody, which is easier to do on not just longer form content, but live streams. And we didn't get to go there, right? I wanted to ask her, like, hey, do you see brands sponsoring live stream content? But we never got to be able to talk
You know
to
what's funny when you say that? It just made me think of something just very in my face. Who has a bigger deal with Snapdragon, the Padres or Manchester United?
I'm gonna guess Manchester United.
Yeah. Padres is down the street.
Yeah.
Like the stadiums are literally
Padres a baseball team.
Baseball team, San Diego. But Manchester United, it's on the front of the jersey of a 90-minute game the entire time.
Yeah. Right.
The Padres is on commercials
Yes.
in the stadium.
Yeah.
So the Manchester United game, even though it's a shorter game because baseball can be long as all get, the exposure of the constant Snapdragon. I was wearing this shirt yesterday, by the way. That constant exposure and global exposure, because they are a worldwide brand. I could go to other countries and say, do you know who the Padres are? Benji's sitting right here, and I asked about the Padres, and he had to think about it. But everybody knows Manchester United globally, whether you're into it or not. And so that's with that long-form branding as opposed to the short-form branding and the way commercials sort of work in the U.S. And so the U.S. is only recently with basketball testing putting logos on the jerseys. And if basketball proves it proper, it will spread to the other sports.
Definitely.
It actually makes more sense.
I have a question about that too. So, one of the things I think about is like you're a marketer, having a conversion funnel, right?
Yes.
So the way that I've heard it broken down is awareness, consideration, conversion, loyalty, right? These smaller and smaller groups of folks who are getting closer and closer to your brand. And so one way to think about it is that somebody comes in contact with your brand the first time, they're suddenly aware that you exist, right?
Correct.
Brand, product, et cetera. Next one is like, let's say that you go and you have a product that you're trying to sell to them. Well, the next step that you get, if they know about you, the next thing they might do is try and consider you, right? But you have to kind of prove yourself to them in some way. Now, the greatest goal initially is to get them to convert, right? To get them to actually buy the product or to engage with the brand in a very particular kind of way. And of course, the ultimate goal would be loyalty, right? Have them be a loyal customer of yours, right? I think there's a lot creators can learn from that alone. But I want to talk specifically about brand deals since we're in the middle of talking about what Anita was discussing. When it comes to those things that you're talking about, Doc, there, are you kind of talking about folks advertising as a creator to that conversion stage alone, or is there still room for the kind of awareness and consideration stages, and to what degree?
Were you listening to Benji and I at lunch?
No, I wasn't.
we had this conversation at lunch. Okay, so as a B school, when I'm in B school, marketing was my specialty, but it's business school in general. We were taught 7 touch points.
7 touch points.
In order to make a conversion.
Yeah.
When I do my talks at Podcast Movement, Evolution, Podfest, whatever, I'm like, I bring up a picture of 11 from Stranger Things. Because I'm like, now it's 11. I would actually change it now and say it's more like 13. I don't have a picture at 13. But
I'll work on that for you.
It's kind of like 13 at this point. And so here's what happens. And I'm going to do this as fast as I can. TikTok, Instagram, short form, you got 6 to 7 seconds of no like and trust time with that person.
Yeah.
Quality time.
Yeah.
Right? When you are doing a long form video on YouTube, let's say 7 to 8 minutes, that's about 3 minutes of no like and trust time. Mm-hmm. When you're doing a long form live stream, hour and a half, 2 hours if you and Benji get on the roll, I got 2 hours of no like and trust time with Benji.
Yeah.
Right? watching him and Matt make pieces. Matt, I forgot to ask you about the ice.
I was wondering.
You know, that's no like and trust time that I'm spending. And the more time I spend with you guys, you went from Austin and Benji to nephew Austin, right? When I see Nucci, real IRL, what's up, Unc? You know, we get to talk. We're family at this point, right? From a parasocial situation to finally meeting IRL and then working together on, you know, trying to get everybody to do live streams, selling this mission of every creator has a space. You build more time.
Yeah.
So if your only goal was to sell DJI products, if all you did was use it all the time and talk about how much you use it, you don't even have a brand deal with them, but you got the links to your Amazon in the bottom, you can start monetizing today by having your Amazon links at the bottom with the brands of the stuff that you use. And you're not hyping them up because they paid you. You're just, you love it. You legit love it. So when I'm like, Austin, I need a burger, he's like, say less. Let's walk up this freaking mountain in the cold.
Welcome to Seattle.
But
I took him on that mountain again.
we went again. But hey, I'm gonna be like 8 pounds lighter around these Seattle. But when I get there and I took my first bite of Woody's, not sponsored, bro. Yo, I'm taking everybody that comes to Seattle. You got to go to Woody's, dog. Like the burger's off the chain. We've done that as friends and family forever. You know what I'm saying? So when I get back, Nucci's going to text me and be like, which one of those Thunderbolt hubs should I get again? Right? That's what it's for. So if you're treating like that, that will get you to the brand deals even better.
Yeah.
Because you already have proof that your people are buying what you're buying. So I never approached Rode. I never sent any, my first time working with Rode, is there was like, yo, you have sold a ton of Rodecaster Pros. How do you know that? Because customers say, hey, I was watching this dude, Doc, or Tom Buck, he's my other friend. Between the two of us, like people kept buying them and they're asking Rode people, hey, I saw this video of this dude, Doc, you know, he works at Ecamm, this dude, Tom Buck, Ecamm user, but they always talk about Rodecaster Bros. Should I buy one? And they're buying one. And then when a new product comes out, they send me a Rodecaster video 6 months before anybody smelled it. And they're like, we need to know what you think, you know? And so I've been working with Rode for years, but I never approached them at all. And they never approached me to do a brand deal per se, but I have a trust relationship with people at that company.
And that was because of the power of Longform.
Because of the power of Longform.
And tell me
Same with
this.
Shure, same thing. Like I have with them because I talk about them like it's religion.
And what they're kind of doing there is actually, Rode in that case is taking some of the loyalty that your audience has with you in that scenario and actually utilizing that to then convert into their own kind of system as well.
And technically, not to be a braggart, but these are just facts, I'm out selling people that have 4x my size channels, people that are like million followers ain't sold as many as I did. And again, number one, because they don't love the product like I love it, like I obsess over it. And number two, it's the scale, right? So at the time, I had 9,000 subs, but I have sold over 1,000 Rodecaster Pros. Right? A person with 1 million following sold 50 Rodecaster Pros. It ain't the same, dog. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I have a Rode store. You know, brand deal. If you went docrock.live/Rode, there's a Rode store branded by me. Anything you buy from there, I get a cut.
Oh, cool.
Not those other guys, they don't have that. I sometimes would prefer an affiliate deal as opposed to a brand deal, because that's in perpetuity.
Fair.
Brand deals are short.
Benji.
Let me break it down how brand deals work in so many different ways and why brands don't just want one thing anymore and they're not just looking at one thing, like in terms of data. So we were talking about how it takes 7 touches to sell a product. Arguably right now it's like 13 to 15, okay? Because we're being attacked by so many different ads in so many different places. We're on our phone, we're on our computer, we're on the TV, and there's just a lot of competition. So before, in the glory days or the golden era of brand deals, they were okay just plastering YouTube, right, or Instagram with a integrated piece of content and doing a sponsorship, and that was a brand deal, and they hope it would convert, right? Now they're getting very sophisticated because they understand we do need to hit these customers 10 to 15 times, so it's not just one thing. For example, it can start as simple as UGC creators, user-generated content. We had Megan, I believe, who teaches people how to be a user-generated content.
That's my new bestie.
Right?
I know, she's awesome.
And I asked her the question, How much influence do you have to do a brand deal as a
She
user
said
generated
none.
content to get 0? Okay. So
None.
think about that. Why would a brand hire UGC? Because they take that and they use that content to run ads, just period. Okay.
Yep.
So remember this for a little bit later. This also shows you the value as a creator with a small influence or any type of influence. Because remember, you're creating content for the brand. That was the idea at the very beginning.
Yeah.
You're replacing production teams. You're replacing the studios. You're replacing this really high cost because you got these people just at their houses creating the videos for you. That was the early days of UGC before we had that label.
That's it. Before we had the label,
Exactly.
Jimmy was doing it.
So then now let's move to the creators, right? Let's talk about short form creators. They know that there's way more short form creators out there competing for brand deals. What happens when competition's out there? The price gets lowered. So they're, instead of going for like 1 or 2 of the biggest names, they're now going for 10, 20, maybe 30 or 100 creators in a campaign, because they're not only going to plaster TikTok or Instagram Reels. Let's Cometeer coffee. You guys know about Cometeer
Oh, yeah.
coffee?
Yeah.
Have
Oh,
you
yeah.
seen those ads?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They got like 10 to 20 high profile people. So you see like this is actually happening. So there's a lot of short form content out there with their brand in there. Then what they do is they go to long form content creators, maybe not as much, because typically long form content creators will cost more.
Yeah.
But then they know that that's where people might start or end up, okay? And they sponsor maybe 3 to 4 creators, costs a little bit more, but that's part of the thing. So you're getting ads from these user-generated content creators. Then you're getting content from short form when you're on TikTok, Instagram Reels, or YouTube Shorts. And then when you're going on to YouTube or wherever you get your long form, it could include live streaming, you're getting long form. So how many times are you getting a hit? Now, this is what's scary about short form, though. Then they run ads on those short form creators' content, sometimes on their own platform.
Yes.
Cometeer right now,
Yeah.
it's crazy to me how many of those creators, those cooking creators, have let a coffee company run ads, and I hope they're getting paid for it. Obviously, they signed off
If
on
they
it.
have
so-
Anita, they getting paid for it.
yeah. But now you're starting to understand how they're getting that 10 plus touches in so many different ways.
Yes.
And they're getting way more sophisticated. So even to the creator that has, let's just take, for example, there's a long form creator that's not converting as much. Remember, it's part of an overall marketing strategy. So the conversion might not always happen in the exact way you think it's going to happen. It's just part of the plan. And that's kind of what Anita was saying.
Yeah.
This is why they need more long form creators, because everyone flocked to TikTok. Everyone flocked to Reels. Everybody started doing short form content, even long form content creators. And how we said, like, there's this huge demand for not just long form content, but vlogs. Also, brands need them back. So if you're still hanging out, you're right there, perfect. Again, sometimes it's not converting, but it's part of an overall plan. Now, if you're a small business and you need to spend your money wisely, you might need to find the creators that convert. So you're working the one with smaller influence, but converts, so the ROI is more. But these bigger brands, it's crazy. Like, their budget's $10 million and they're just dividing it up. What's crazy to me is how far removed the brand can be from the people converting.
Yeah.
This is just a whole side note. I know creators that sell like $500,000 of a product for a brand, and the brand has no clue they exist.
100%.
And because it's part of this grand plan to get these 10 to 15 touches, and there's literally thousands of creators, and there's multiple of that, and it's just a machine now.
Yeah.
And that's why the relationship between the brand and the creators has had way more distance. Now, obviously, our relationship is super close. Literally, we're sitting next to each other, right? You know, right? We talk all the time. And so there's just different levels of it where back in the day, there wasn't as many dynamics happening. So that's kind of a picture that I think a lot of creators don't understand. And you have to find out, where do you fit? Some creators have the privilege of being part of like different things, you know? And this is why I think that something like creators might want to think about is, don't undervalue what you give up so easily, like whitelisting, like letting them license your content, like taking your content and putting it on their platform. You think it's so normal because you see all your creator friends doing it, but remember, they're running ads on it. And the one thing I will say that is kind of like the dirty little secret, say you only get like 5,000 views on your short form content or whatever, right, for this brand deal. You don't know how many ads are running to your audience.
Correct.
Afterwards. So that, before you watch your favorite creator's piece of content once, right? But with these ads running, they might get inundated with that same video 10 times.
A lot.
This is why, this is the game, right? But remember what you're giving up when you let them run those ads, especially on their own platforms.
Well,
and
it
commentary
also can
copy is
numb
doing
you.
it.
It can numb you against a creator who you may have actually followed because they talk about something that you like, but then now you're numb. You're numb to them because you keep seeing them in these like ads that you kind of. People just have a negative infliction with ads. And here's something that drives me nuts about ads. And I'll say this real quickly. Ads to me, I'm going to take it back to dating, and I have weird analogies, and I'm going to apologize for this ahead of time. I worked in a nightclub, and because of that and my friends, and I live in Hawaii, everybody's beautiful, my friends are gorgeous. And they used to come and complain to me, oh, this so-and-so dude is hitting on me. I go, yeah, but then the other dude was hitting on you. You didn't tell me go scare him away because he was hot. And she's like, well, and I'm like, okay, so ads is like that. It's irritating if you don't kind of want to buy it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right? But I'm in the market for a new SUV electric. It's always going to be a Beamer. Nobody's send me ads. Trust me, I'm stuck. But Rivian keep tapping on my door because somehow I got in the database. It knows I have an electric SUV. Rivian be like, hey, Pam, look at this. And so I get a lot of Rivian ads. And I'm not even mad at that because I almost want to go test drive one to see how it compares. Yes. I'm a BMW loyalist. I'm on my 9th one. I'll probably never switch. Maybe. But at least I know that the targeting is real.
Yeah.
So ads are irritating unless you're actually trying to buy that thing. And I remember I was looking for a new suitcase, and I was like, why did all the suitcase ads stocks? Normally I get them all the time. Now that I need one, I can't remember which one I want.
Really?
And then the ads, but now they show up. And then one last thing I'll tell you, which I think is just hella cute. I told Mary Lou, my podcast partner, in the beginning of the year, she says, I want to work with Adobe. So I'm going to make crazy stuff about Premiere and Premiere Mobile until they see you. Said, I want to be a Premiere girl. And I was like, well, I want to be an Unbound Merino girl because I love Unbound Merino. Yeah. It's my favorite thing. And anybody that travels, I'm like, it's expensive, but once you get it, you get it.
Yeah.
And I'm always fitted. Today, I'm head to toe Unbound. A week ago, this is Hope from Unbound Merino. I noticed that you hadn't purchased anything recently. Is everything okay? They wanted to see if I got mad at them.
Really?
Right? And I'll be tagging them on their stuff. Like I see their ads, I add something, I'll say something nice, I'll say how much I love the clothes or whatever. And I says, no, actually, I just went through the second half of my weight loss journey. I lost so much. The last things I fit are balloons on me. So like, I'm just trying to get that last 10 before I buy anything else. Because everything we say in Okinawan, chondara, it just looked like a tent. You know, like I'm wearing a hockey jersey, but I'm only like skinny. Yo,
without the gear.
Oh, girl, she sent me a gift certificate and be like, no rush, just get what you get in. And it's like half the price of an outfit. So basically, I got 50% off on the next thing that I purchase. So they do pay attention.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And I'm sure that they might even have seen the live stream where I'm like, yo, I'm trying to be Unbound Girl. So, hey, hook me up. Like, I do want to get sponsored by them. And that is my goal. So if you do have a brand you want to work with, write it down, fam. You got to visualize these things. And I'm not trying to be woo-woo or whatever. I don't care whether you believe it or not. Whatever you focus on expands.
Yes.
So if you think you suck, you're correct. If you think you're dope, you're correct.
Yeah.
So I say I want to be Unbound, and the fact that I got an email direct from somebody, that was like a chicken skin moment for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I want to say
not
one
sponsored
thing.
yet.
One thing about Commenteer, actually, because I was exposed to them through short form content, but you know what converted me? Long form content.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of James Hoffman. He did the collab with Commenteer. And
recently?
Yeah. He did a video like a month ago.
So? Oh, yeah.
He did a video like a month. Dude, we are nerds. The fact that you like James Hoffman, yo, he is my G, dude. I love that guy.
Did he do a sponsorship with them in the last one?
I don't even know if it was a sponsorship thing.
He might own it.
He did a video. I think in the video he admitted to some sort of investment. I'd have to double check. Do not fact check me on that. But he did a video. He did a video.
Fact check you, actually.
Well, I mean, he could write it in anything. He did a
James
video
Hoffman.
recently, and it was a commentary video, and he may or may not not have talked about being an investor in it. I believe so.
That would make sense.
This is one of those ones where I have James on and he's playing and I'm in my kitchen doing things. Actually, I'm cleaning my super automatic and then it takes 20 minutes. So I had James on and I always listen to James while I'm messing with my coffee equipment.
So this, and I want you to finish what you're saying, but long form content creator talks about commentator, coffee, just very organically, or it's sponsored in their thing. Then you get all these short form, and I think I've seen like 12 cooking or food creators talk about commentator, and then after that, guess what I see? Ads. Basically following me across different platforms. So they're getting those 10 to 15 touches. And I think commentator probably is going more like premium route. But what if they did work with also the UGC creators? I'm not saying their content isn't premium. I'm saying they lack the influence. But guess what? If you're running an ad to a targeted audience that would be primed for buying that, it doesn't matter what the relationship is, whether audience or lack of audience. They're just trying to hit those 10 to 15. So
exactly.
And it converted you last year though.
Yeah, at the end of last year, because of the long form video, right? And I was like, okay, I trust this dude, right? Yes. He collaborated with them, right?
That's the answer.
Exactly, and he doesn't lie. He's real about what he wants to do, right? And so that is what ended up converting me.
Live fact check here on Creative Secrets. James Hoffman is not indeed an investor in Commentary Coffee, but he is a formal paid brand partnership with them.
There you go.
And he has collaborated and curated the Discovery Box showcasing specialty coffees. Last but not least, he has also done a custom box that is from his company, which is Square Mile Coffee Roasters, and they put out a Commentator co-branded partnership coffee.
And so that got me, right? And now, because the product is good, I'm loyal to the brand, right? There's nobody out doing it like Commentator, right? And so it worked basically. And I think that to bring us all the way back, right, is one of the reasons why this is my big takeaway from Anita, by the way. She said it is easier to monetize when you're doing long form content.
Yes.
Not only that you're getting more brand deals, but it's just easier to monetize in general, right? And I think that this is a good transition into one of the other themes that we talked about, which is live streaming. And we had Jie and Mei on stage to talk about that.
G and Mei.
Oh, Jie and Mei, sorry.
Yeah.
And can you introduce them as well?
Yeah, so as you guys know, I've been live streaming way more in the last 4 months, both on the Creator Secrets podcast as well as my cooking and food vlog channel, Benjamin TV. So it's been a theme that's on my mind, and I'm suggesting to other creators to do it. The thing that made me want to do live streaming at a high level, especially go vertical, were these ladies who do fitness content specifically on YouTube in vertical format.
Yes.
And they're called the Walter twins, and their names are Jie and Mei. Obviously, they're twins. Now, this is the thing. Like, when you think about a fitness influencer, you think like either like big buff guy, like Sam Sulek trying to compete, or like on roids or whatever, okay? Looking great, looking strong. Or you think of like somebody being provocative in like, like fashion type of athleisure, where these ladies are proper physical trainers. They are teaching people how to work out, to heal their bodies, rehab, or just get stronger. And oftentimes they might have like an older demographic, and so they're not playing into that. 100,000 views, 200,000 views, 300,000 views, and that's on YouTube vertical format. So I saw that. I was like, I can't believe they're doing it. They're known for having, I think they said like 2, 3, maybe 4 million TikTok followers. Like it's millions.
I think it's 4.4.
Okay, millions of TikTok followers, but why are they going live on YouTube vertically? And so I wanted them to come on. And so I would say they're fairly younger, young 20s, 26, okay? Younger than me. So I was like listening to the next generation, and because this is something I think is going to be the future of content, especially longer form content, I just was picking their brain. And so some of the takeaways were like, we tried TikTok, we've tried Twitch, but for us, like even though we have a bigger influence on TikTok, YouTube is the place to go because partly monetization. YouTube AdSense, which is paying them really well, and the super chats function. I always had this idea that Twitch was a better place to do it, but for them and their audience, they're getting a lot more support. They even said this. I don't know if I should say it on here, but they said like the monetization is pretty good. They almost like were joking with me. I was like, so without saying the number, are you making money on AdSense? Ear to ear smile.
Yep.
And the reason that's significant is because oftentimes short form vertical content creators, especially on TikTok, don't benefit from the AdSense. So when they are getting it on YouTube, which is no surprise, but it's vertical live stream, it's like great because it's consistent income. And so that was kind of my big takeaway, as well as some of the other things. I'm curious, was there any takeaways for you of what they talked about?
I'm a big community guy. I used to be community manager at Ecamm. I think community is the most important thing. I try to program my students, don't even use the word audience. I try to tell them to use the word community. And if you do want to say audience, every time your brain wants to say algorithm, replace that with audience or community, because that's the reality.
Yes.
Right? They are actually building a community, which is extremely hard to do on TikTok, because TikTok is sort of drive-by, you know what I mean? But when you have a community, that means people are showing up and people are like, giving them large super chats because they're actually helping. They're getting advice that if they went to somebody at that purple thing, Planet Fitness or some other place, it would cost them hundreds and hundreds of bucks. And these guys are genuine and just, really care to help people. They're also, former med school students, like they graduated with understanding of what they're doing. They're not just playing the role. They're legit. I'm a doctor, I play one on TV. Like they're legit, they got the receipts. Let's put it that way. So they are building a community of people who show up when they need to. And so we were doing a little talking, and I introduced them to a dude that used to be in Hawaii, used to be worldwide distribution. And his name was Galad. And Galad, he was an Israeli guy who would put these pads on the ground in Magic Island, which is in Hawaii, looking at the Hilton. And he would get up every morning at 6 a.m. and do calisthenics. And he would bring various other trainers from the gyms around to work in the back. Now, I have plenty of friends that used to be with him doing exercises. I says, it would be really cool for you guys to come out and do a live stream from Hilton Hawaiian Village. And I have enough connects. I can help you make these things happen with the licensures and stuff like that. But they're like, oh, well, we got to make sure we can get it. I says, dude, put up a live stream goal. Let's figure out what it costs. Let's say it comes out to 10 G's. You put up a goal for 10 G's, and we're going to go do a live stream from, Waikiki Beach sort of thing. I'm like, your community would dive in. I just know, because there are a bunch of OGs sitting around. Their kids are in college or married or whatever. They got money. So I'm like, just put the goal up. And I know you said before you were kind of not really wanting to be like asking for super chats. I think in this sort of thing, it makes sense because you're helping them with their exercise, but you also give them that vicarious thing of wanting to travel.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I watch a whole bunch of travel creators who just do walkabouts in Japan. They're making $3,000-$4,000 a stream walking around.
Wow.
Why? Because you went by this ramen spot that I just remember, they walk past like oink. And I said, I went there with my boy Benji. Walk by and look in. They look in. I sent him a $20 super chat just for taking the time to do that.
Yeah.
And I watched the walker travel live streaming guys in Japan. These guys are literally doing $3,000-$4,000 a show. Wow. Just walking around Japan for 2 hours.
Last summer, I was at the Tokyo train station, and I saw a guy just like walking around with a little, like tripod set up, his phone, and obviously was connected to a battery, and I think it was wired to his backpack maybe for the cell phone signal, right? Yeah. And then he was just walking around outside of the train station.
A dime against two fat boys. He was either John Dobb, only in Japan, or a guy named Rion Ishida. It's probably one of them too, because they do it almost every day.
I don't think it was only in Japan because I know that guy. Yeah. But there was.
Dude, we were in Japan at the same time, and I had the idea, but you know what happens when you have an idea and you don't act upon it? John Dobb exists. I'm sitting here next to you. I had the exact same idea. I had the camera, the equipment, the money. My family owned an electronics store, but it was just an idea. And I'm mad at myself every time I see John. I love him to death, but I should have did it myself.
Takeaways. If you have an idea, do it.
Very true. End of story.
Well, and that's one of the things that they did such a good job of, right?
Yes.
Jie and Mei, they were talking about, they just executed, right? And they kind of found themselves stumbling into this massively successful new live streaming format.
They did not know it was going to do well.
No, literally the story they told was that they had like a pretty solid number after their first live stream, like something like 100K or something like that after the live, but they refresh on the ride home and suddenly it's 200K.
After an hour-long drive home, they got 100,000 post views. Oh, that's one thing.
Views.
The after.
Yeah,
is that what you're about to talk about?
No, I was going to say the most impressive thing to me is I was having a talk with G yesterday, and she says, Unc, I have no idea what we're doing. And I'm like, cool. Don't know.
Yeah.
The problem is, my people, because I train these guys, everybody wants to have the whole blueprint before they start. And that doesn't work, right?
Yes.
When we dropped iPhone 1, we had a whole blueprint. You know what iPhone 2 looks nothing like? iPhone 1.
Very true.
We completely changed it because we were wrong.
Yeah.
We were almost right, but we were wrong. And so we changed everything with iPhone 2, and iPhone 2.5 opened the store. And now the rest is history. So even the largest, most richest company in the world with the most genius that I've ever known, we get it wrong sometimes.
Definitely.
But you got to be willing to adjust. So when she said that, Unc, I have no idea what we're doing. We're just out here doing it. I was so proud of her. I was a moment, I said, own that. And just keep not knowing what you're doing because you're killing it, not knowing what you're doing. While everybody else is worried about doing it wrong.
Yeah.
And then so she respected that comment, and I felt, I guess blessed to be able to tell her that. And I'm surprised that she said that because everybody thinks that they got it on. She said she had no clue.
I really appreciated their transparency in that regard. 'Cause they were that way up on stage too as well, right? And I think that part of it too, you mentioned community a lot earlier.
Yes.
A lot of it is just how transparent they are on their streams and how much trust they build by A, having the expertise, and B, sharing it freely, right? And so that I think is one of the things that I came away with. The other piece is that they're doing this live thing. They're on the cutting edge. And, one of the other creators that you invited up on stage, Benji, was someone else who you think is on the cutting edge of just short form, period, who is Alex Key.
Alex.
He is, I'll say my perspective. I want to hear your perspective on him too. He is doing sort of like full on storytelling vlogs / they're really fully edited videos basically in the short form feed, all about Seattle. So it's very geographically based at this point in time. But the framing that you used on stage was that he is basically doing long form on vertical platforms. And honestly, somebody called you out for saying these vertical platforms aren't just short form platforms, Benji. They're just vertical platforms. And so for Alex, what was your kind of hook in there for him?
Yeah, well, just to give you some backstory, if you've been following me long enough, you know that I'm very biased to YouTube. I think that longer form is just like where home is for myself, my wife. And so we've never really dabbled into short form vertical content very seriously at all, even though we do reels on Instagram. And so what's happened was there's this kind of boom in demand for longer form content, not just long form content, but super long form, right? 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 2-3 hours. We know this by podcast, but even just like vlogs can be longer. I thought it was going to go on forever horizontally because of the TV and the way it's shaped.
Yeah.
And you were seeing it in the stats. Well, what's happened in just the last, I'd say like really 6 to 12 months is because YouTube's dominance, not just in the online video platforms, but also streaming platforms and, traditional TV, all the platforms like we need to go long too. So TikTok, Meta, obviously even like any other platform, they're like, we need to let people be able to upload longer videos. So I didn't think this would happen, but people are now starting to consume longer vertical videos. Alex Key is the first person in Seattle that I've seen do it successfully. It's crazy because 5 years ago, my friend Matt Broussard, one of the most famous cooking chefs in the United States, at least on TikTok, he was like the real pioneer of doing that during the pandemic and lockdowns. He called it 5 years ago, and I laughed. I was like, no, right? Because of the way the TVs are, no one's gonna like turn their TV or whatever. And so Alex Key is doing it, and he was telling me when I met him about 4 months ago, 5 months ago. He's like, oh, but I'm thinking about going horizontal on YouTube. It's like, yeah, you should do it. No, I've changed my mind about that. Because I believe that people want to stay on TikTok.
Totally, yeah.
They just didn't have the content or the ability to do it. And their behavior was like more for short form. But what we found is what benefited YouTube because they're going away from brain rot is they weren't like leaving TikTok. They were just going to the longer form content.
Yes.
Well, if that longer form content is on TikTok and it's high quality, which he's doing, then it's like, hey, now we can just hang out here. We can get our short form content on TikTok, but then move to Alex's. And so I asked him this weird question during the thing. This was like my fun moment. I was like, what do people normally do on TikTok? He's like, what are you talking about? Like what's kind of like the activity? What's like the actions? Swiping through. I was like, yeah. What do they do when they go on your videos? They stop. Kind of unheard of because it's just such a swiping type of mentality. But they stop. Why? Because his videos are 3 minutes and they're interesting and they're entertaining. So that to me, and then of course, what makes him unique is his storytelling ability. Because it's hard to tell a really great story in 1 minute. You can tell a story in 1 minute, but like to do it the way like maybe you'd see in a documentary or longer form content. And he's doing that, and that's why I had him on stage. And crazy to me, how many short form content creators are fans of his?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Like somebody from like New York City that moved back to Seattle that I literally just like had come into the event like last minute. They're like, I am the biggest fan of you, Alex.
Yeah.
Like they raise their hand. Not to ask a question, just to tell them that.
Yes. Yeah. And she actually used to work with Casey.
Casey Neistat of TikTok in Seattle.
No, she used to work for Casey Neistat for his brand that CNN had bought and then eventually sold. 63, 93, some kind of numbers.
368, yeah.
There you go. That's the word. I forgot what the numbers were called, but I remember when he came out. So, yeah. And again, I think what happens is a lot of times we get too caught up in the container. Whereas in artists, similarly to a chef, they will produce something for satiation, satisfaction. They're not thinking about the container, right? And many creators get so caught up in the container, they forget what the possibilities are.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I'm saying? So when we said to Alex yesterday, like, yo, with IG for real, you can now do 20 minutes.
Yes.
And for a video in general, you can now do 60.
Yes.
He was like, what?
Exactly.
I didn't even know. Does he
called
care?
it a high watermark was his term for it,
right.
literally.
Does he care? No. Why? Because he's creating art. The container doesn't matter.
Yeah.
His art would excel on television as a regular TV show when the game ends early and they need a 3-minute bridge before they cut to the news, right? His thing could stand.
Yes.
Right? And it makes Seattle people feel proud, especially pre-Mariners, pre-Seahawks, pre-Kraken. Yo, they could just play them there.
Yes.
And now we jazzed about our city.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So he's an artist.
Yes.
I don't want that to scare people because in reality, everybody's an artist in some way.
Yeah.
Something that I dropped on somebody at a conference once, and I love this. I almost wish I had turned it into a brand. Somebody said, well, I'm not a creator, blah, blah, blah. I sell whatever. I go, everybody's a creator. A lot of people are good at creating excuses. A lot of people are good at creating drama. A lot of people are good at maybe creating community. Some people are good at, everybody's a creator. Like we were built by one, so we all got that in us.
That's very true.
It's just what you choose to create, right? I would argue, although my friend here has been a content creator for over 18 years, what he actually creates is space. Benji is a space maker.
I agree.
That event, that's called the space maker.
Yeah.
Hey, all Seattle creators, here's a bat signal. You want to go? You guys want to meet at this nice hotel in this epic amphitheater, sexy amphitheater, by the way. Good job. And
Grand Hyatt.
come and hang out and like talk to each other.
Yes.
Right? In faith leader places, that's called fellowshipping. Right? It's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
We get all like-minded people together in one spot to share. And it didn't matter whether you had 8 people or 8 million. We're all going to talk about something that we all love. That's called making space. That's even different. So he's at a level. I'm talking like he ain't here. And he's still alive. He's right here. But I'm
like, are you talking about Alex right now?
No. But you're doing something and you're creating a space. And what Alex doesn't, maybe does or doesn't, I can't speak for him. He's creating the thing that people love to rep their city. One of the best things I ever did when I was making T-shirts is we had this thing called Cheeky Cheeky Check. If your school's in effect, represent. And we should do it on our radio show. and we made T-shirts in every colorway of every high school. And the way those kids competed to outsell the other kids in skirts, we'd be like, yo, Lely Who is 800 shirt deep. Where you at, Mililani? Mililani's like, this is not going to stand. Everybody go buy a second shirt, right? Can you flip the colorway from yellow and brown to brown and yellow? Yeah, we could do that. So we didn't intend to do it to be like this crazy money-making thing, but it turned into a very profitable business because school pride, neighborhood pride is big time.
Yes.
And so he's building a filiocentric thing for Seattle.
Yes, yeah.
And even if I was an expat, I'm all in his thing.
Yeah.
So if I show his content to my Seattleites who live in Honolulu, they're gonna be like, yeah, that's my soul. So I can't wait to go back and show to my friend Brad.
Yeah.
I'm like, Brad, look at this. And he'd be like, oh yeah. And my other buddy, he went to UW. I'm gonna show it to him. I was like, listen, purple head. And then, he gonna be like, yo, this is sick. So I will go back and introduce him to friends that I know that have this connection here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and the thing to me is that he really does. He's pushing the bounds there. I mean, Benji, one of the things that you said is that he's kind of innovating in that regard, right? He's getting us to the next level in terms of what is possible on those vertical platforms. And, someone else who's doing that right now is our boy, Cortese. Come on. Here, you can take this.
Oh, we need to move these chairs out of the way. We need these chairs, okay?
You can take that one. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, go ahead. Sit down right there.
Oh, this is. I didn't know I was about to be in the podcast. Oh, I'm scared. I get shy.
This is
We're
why.
almost done anyway, so like.
This is why live is live, because you can just do whatever, as long as Austin don't knock everything down.
Actually, it's better if you sit here, okay?
You sure?
Yes, this is where the guests sit. And then me and Austin can get friendly over here. I'll sit right here with you. Because
That's good. Yeah, I'll move the mic.
Yeah. You just scoot over a little bit.
Don't be shy. Bring it in. There you
I
go.
plead the fifth. It wasn't me.
That's my favorite skit.
John, we were just talking about Alex and everything that he talked about during the event.
It's like full circle because you introduced me to. It's full circle because you're the one that introduced me to Alex, and then because of him making that long form TikTok video, I was like, wow, this is actually really cool. I should have him speak at the summit, and now you're here. We're literally commenting about Alex, so it's crazy that you're coming here right at this moment.
Yeah, Alex is phenomenal.
I'm curious about what your takeaways in terms of like what he was talking about were. Like what are some of the things that you felt like he was speaking to that resonated?
The one thing that resonated to me was intuition. So I think someone had asked him, how do you go about scripting, or how do you do this? And to him, his answer was like, I've watched so much Blockbuster, and like he genuinely loves it.
Yeah.
That it's just like it just came to him naturally.
Yeah.
And that I resonated with that because I create content and I love doing it. So I felt every single word he said, and I was like, I feel you. We do different content, but it's like I feel where that love of the game is.
Yeah. I mean, I think that resonates with me too. To me, I come from that film background as well. And so him talking about just loving this thing so much that it translates to what your instinct is,
Yes.
right? That's the part that I think is easy to forget if you kind of get lost in some of the struggles of being a creator, right? I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts about that idea of intuition?
Yeah, I think one of the things is more people have it than they know. They don't respect it.
Very true.
And so they spend a lot of time overthinking, chasing classes in somebody else. We're like, yo, he can't teach me his intuition. Alec can't teach me his.
Yeah.
I can elevate my own. And so what happens is we spend so much time looking outward, trying to find somebody that's going to give us permission to be dope. Right?
Yes.
And so I believe in this concept that I call the permission slip. You already have it, right? But what I will allow you to do is allow me to give you permission long enough for you to realize that you already have it in you. Because if you respect me because I've been doing this a long time, or I'm just old, or I'm cute, whatever the situation is, I will give you permission slip. But then reality is I'm trying to let you figure out you already have the permission.
Yeah.
Right? So Benji yesterday talking, Alex yesterday talking, the twins, everybody who spoke, Dan, Sean. It gave some people permission to go create content. The reality is that permission slip was always there. You just need to go find your own dopeness, right?
Yep.
Yeah, some people call that like authenticity, right? People like to
100%.
talk about that a lot, right? And I think a part of it too is just that if you're not confident in what you're what your intuition is telling you, you may not act on it. And that's why I said overthinking when you were speaking there, is because I know I've been in that position before, right? Where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this thing, but I don't know, I feel kind of weird about it. I don't want this to be inside of the discussion here. Now, that's going to relate to the next person we're talking about, who's Dan. But
Before you jump, I have a question.
Yeah, please.
I have a question for you specifically because you brought the word up.
Yeah.
What does confidence mean to you?
Ooh. Confidence is a willingness to act on that intuition in a lot of ways, actually.
I want to tell you yes, but you're wrong.
Really? Tell me.
The word confidelity, with trust. And all that means is you trust in yourself. Yes. Nephew, if you don't trust you, who else can trust you?
Yeah, that's very true.
And everybody gets so stuck on the confidence thing, and that throws people. But you're telling the world that you don't trust you. But you want to do this. You want people to listen to your content. You want people to catch it. You want people to love your city, Alex.
Yeah.
Right? But if you don't trust you, how can anybody else? And so I want people to stop looking for confidence. It's already in there. Every person has confidence. It's a matter of whether you turn it on or not. And for the people that are held back because of their lack of confidence, you are confident that you can't do it.
I agree.
That's what it is. So I always try to tell people, that is not a superpower. You don't need to get taught. You can't take classes in it. Just flick the light switch on. It's an on or off situation. And then the minute you
fake
can
it till you make it, right?
100%. The minute you can do it, you find your game. Like you legit find your game. And so like John probably should have passed the puck, but he said, I'm gonna just take this shot. Boom, gold medal.
Yeah.
Right? I'm gonna keep bringing it up because you're a hockey nerd.
I appreciate it. Benji, I want to give you your chance.
Yeah, my last thought is the intuition. It can be trained, and almost every successful creator that's doing it at the highest levels, the big thing is they probably put in so many reps that they have that intuition to be able to do whatever it is that they're doing that the world thinks is special.
Yeah.
But they didn't have that intuition when they first started.
Nope.
Right? I mean, like, before we end, we're going to introduce who the heck John is, by the way,
Sure, yeah,
to the
sorry.
audience. But actually, any creator, like I would argue everybody at this table who's done this a lot, we have this intuition because we have posted a lot. We've seen what the response is, we've seen what the engagement is, and we learn from it. And then we do it again, and we get a little better, and then you build that intuition. Versus instinct, you're just born with it.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when your intuition is raised, it like kind of like triggers the right instincts, you know,
Yes.
like it trains you to like know when those instincts need to be used in the what way. So yeah, but again, I think that Alex Key is doing something that is going to be more popular. I think that you probably are going to start doing it more, John.
Longer vlogs.
Longer vertical content because you're already vertical.
Yeah.
What surprised me about him is that he actually changed my mindset about long form content, and I thought it was just going to be horizontal. And what's crazy is between him and those twins, now I should think there's new life for vertical content. Yeah. It's not one or the other, it's both.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to choose, you can do both or you can do one or the other. It just depends on the audience you want to reach. And this was crazy about the vertical content. I don't know if you were there in the room, both the twins and my vertical live streams that are getting a lot of views, number one demographic is an older demographic on these vertical platforms that we always thought were going to be more for like younger people, you know?
No, I agree. All my older aunts and uncles, they only go on sometimes on Instagram, but they love YouTube, but they only watch YouTube shorts. And they've told me that they love the longer videos on shorts, and so it's like I'm just like I'm baffled, you know.
Yeah.
But it's just for them because it's easier to scroll, but also they like just consuming. They're consumers.
Yeah.
So if they're not consuming on Facebook, they're consuming on shorts on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I think that we talk about a lot is that the way that you get from doing something that's shorter form to longer form is by telling stories, right? And that brings us to Dan Norton. But before we do that, you want to introduce John?
No, we'll do that afterwards. But
Afterwards.
like, yeah, John Cortese, if you're in Seattle, you know who he is.
Yes.
If you're not from here, you might still know him, but he is a lifestyle creator
that focuses on his life, day in the life, living in this great city of Seattle. But now you're starting to document your travels abroad too, right? You just went to Houston, went to Portland.
Yep.
People recognize you in those cities.
Yeah, which was really crazy. You know, it's crazy that anything outside of Washington State, I've started to learn that my reach right now is Idaho, Portland, and like parts of California and Texas.
The West Coast. Yeah,
So yeah,
sure.
and so it's like I know as the year goes on, it's like we're like expanding, but so no, it's still like it baffles me.
I went to Idaho first time last year at KIT conference. And it's funny because Boise State used to be in the WAC. University of Hawaii is in the WAC. So they were always our mortal enemies. The fact that Boise, Idaho was a dope city was beyond my comprehension. So say we're doing a conference in Boise. I went to Boise. Yo, that city is a sleeper. It is sick. It is a very dope spot. Had no clue. I was always just clowning them as the Smurfter kids that we hated in football. Yo, Boise is sick with it in a really good way.
Boise.
So I want to talk about Dan really quick, right? Because Dan Norton, who is the producer for Deep Pocket Monsters, which is Pat Flynn's Pokemon channel, fastest growing Pokemon channel on YouTube, he came to us to talk about storytelling, right? And again, like I said, I really think that storytelling is what unlocks the ability to have that longer form engagement, right? I want to pass it to each of you to hear some of your takeaways, but I want to quickly say one of mine, which is that he said over and over again that the role of a good storyteller is to get the audience to ask questions, the right questions, by the way, and then to answer those questions as the story goes on, right? And of course, you want to wrap up each of those questions that you've raised. But importantly, too, I think as a piece of that, he also said you don't want to hit the audience on the head. You want to be a little subtle about it, right? You want to kind of show and not tell. And so those are the two, as someone who really appreciates the art of storytelling, those are the two big takeaways for me. Just really fundamental things, but a good reminder for me as someone who's a creator. Doc, I want to hear from you first. What did you take away from Dan's talk?
Dan's buddy and I spent way too much time hanging out with him, and still. Like, I'm listening to it. I had already seen the video, and I'm still stuck in the story.
Yeah.
And it's kind of impressive because we often talk about views. But to me, when a view is really dope, when someone has watched your exact same video multiple times, that means you got them really good with the story. And so many people talk about storytelling, and I feel like people miss how important that is. Okay? As an OG who be in pain now, if I could go back and recover from all those times, like, nah, fam, I can do 2-3 hours of sleep. I'm gangsta. We good? Now my body's like, idiot, you should have went to sleep, right? And so storytelling is like that when it comes to content creating. We keep saying it, and everybody goes, yeah. And they keep, I need a new camera, though. I need a new light. Or I want to try this hook trick.
Yeah.
Or I want to get this title thing this way. Or I want to be like Teasy. Fam, it's still storytelling.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, it's still storytelling. And again, I'll bring it back. The things that are holding you back, that you're scared of, are stories you're telling yourself, right?
Yes.
So I really love this talk. It was quite amazing. And somebody mentioned something really incredible while we were hanging out, talking with Guy yesterday. Austin, you were there. Someone says, I don't know if you realize this, dog, but that, like, hook and release, tension build stuff that you were talking about in the video, you were doing that in your talk. And Dan was like, huh? And I was like, bruh, it's so automatic to you, Yoda. Like, he didn't even realize it.
I know.
And then we were like, nah, fam, you did exactly to us what Pat was doing to Kim folks in the video. It's like wild. It was super wild.
Was I the only one that cried during his talk? I
cried.
teared up a little
Dude,
bit.
I seen the video and I cried. That's why I said, Dan, I ain't crying his allergies, dog. Leave me alone. Like, yo.
John, how about you? What were your takeaways from his talk?
Unfortunately, I wasn't there.
Oh, too bad.
But I will rewatch it wherever you guys upload it because that Dan was probably the segment that respect to everyone else. That because I'm so big on storytelling. Like, yes. I know that you can. I say it all the time to even my audience that storytelling can get you 1 million followers, just storytelling. You don't even need a hook. You don't even need to be doing anything. If you are a phenomenal storyteller, you have it made.
Yeah.
Just because in my experience, like you said, like if you can have one viewer come and view your thing over and over, you got them. And that's me to Casey Neistat. I've rewatched the vlogs over. I've seen it a million times, but it's like the story, and I try to learn too, but it's like that's the bread and butter. That's really the winning formula.
Well, tell me how it shows up in your content. What are the ways that you utilize storytelling in a short form venue? Because it's hard to do, right? We just talked about Alex, who is like really trying to optimize around that storytelling nature. But you're posting 7+ times a day. How do you condense the amount of storytelling that you do in those videos that you're posting?
I think the way I go about the videos is I try to show a different lifestyle that I know people who don't live in the city don't experience. So and I can relate to that because I used to live in the suburbs, like, you know, up north in Snohomish County, and so that's why I lived through Casey Neistat, because he lived in the city. And now that I'm in the city, I was like, okay, I know that people love seeing someone who's just out and about in the city. Let me show that, because even if it's just me talking to the mailman and talking about his day, and then immediately walk one block down and talk to my bakery, and people seeing that interaction, people are mind blown, because not everyone lives in a walkable city. So they're like, wow, like this is real life. Yeah. So even something so simple like that to someone who isn't in the city is unfathomable.
Yeah. I mean, I think that for me, when I watch your content, there's like a piece of it where the storytelling happens in the totality, right? There are things that you do in one place and then it can come back later, or like seeing you travel throughout your day. There's a little bit of a story arc in those touch points throughout the day. And I'm really amazed by the way that comes across in those little tidbits. And I think it's really interesting to see that. Do you ever hear that from anybody about how they're tuning in to you that often?
Someone literally today in the morning, there was a creator who's just talking about Seattle content creators. Yeah. But someone in the comments like, Cortese is the only creator that I truly feel is like my family, because I see him every single moment of when I open my app, and I know so much of him, and like how he goes about his day. Like they're like, I like all the Seattle content creators, but Cortese is just like my family. Yeah. And I'm like, that's so interesting, you know? Because I know that I'm popping up in your feed. But just having someone comment that was really nice.
Let me ask TJ a question real quick. As a fellow Latino, did you have like that Tio that was always with the stories, that when you went to like brother's house and you just, hey, Tio, tell us about this one time. Did you have one of that, uncle, auntie, or something like that? Sorry, let me speak English. to your auntie or auntie or grandpa maybe, who just always had them stories, and like the kids at the feet instantly. You had the Tio with the dollars, who you always robbed. And then you had the Tio with the stories. And funny enough, the Tio with the story was even more popular to us than the uncle that was always trying to bribe us. I'm taking Unc's 20. but my Tio that had the stories and the jokes, like I wanted to be him. Right? Do you have that in your family?
Till this day, my Tio Miguel, he is the funniest guy, tells the best stories, and we all want to be like our uncle.
All right, big us Miguelito. You heard what he said, right? You know? Like, it's funny, but like I think cats like you, we learned that culturally, right? And then I think a lot of people don't realize those gems that we had because we thought it was something else. You know what I mean? And like when our parents used to make us go to these people, we're like, nah, man, I want to go ride my big wheel or whatever. But as soon as they leave, you in. You cracking jokes. You just enjoying them. Maybe learning how to play dominoes, what I learned, and some other things I won't talk about, statute of limitations from my Tio. But that thing, and I think that you're presenting that to people. And that comment, Neff, I want you to own that comment. I want you to sleep on that, because that's big. Yeah. That's bigger than most people will understand.
No, they call me Tio Teasy now. So kids from like 5 to 7 year olds will take photos of me, and then up to like 85 will all say like will want to take photos. And it's like, it's so nice because now I am the uncle now. You know, I tell people, like my age, and they're like, oh, I thought you were 25. They're like, no. So now it has become, I am Tio Teasy. I'm Uncle Teasy.
Dude, as a half Latino, but then I was raised by Asians, the Unc thing is massive. And a lot of people don't know that because American culture doesn't really use it the way. But dude, that gives me chicken skin, bro. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that deep connection, right, is another place where I think that you are unique in the short form space, where you have that type of deep connection where people feel like they're family with you.
Yeah.
I mean, Benji, you've seen that for your
my
entire
gosh.
career with Judy.
You know, when you're telling me that people trust you because you're like family,
Mm-hmm.
and I know because, is this good?
Yeah.
They, you're showing up on my feed all day too, right? and so it's not just you saying this or people telling you this. Like, I actually observe this, and do you understand that you're literally becoming a vlogger right now?
No, yeah, it is.
You're not like you don't like self-proclaim you're a vlogger, but you have become like a daily vlogger just on a different platform. At least for me, it's Instagram, right?
Yeah.
That's where you're showing up,
Yeah.
and that is the power because what are you doing? You're starting to create this relationship. People trust you, right? And they just want to see what you're up to. Like you're their friend or their family, and that is powerful. But that only comes from doing the reps.
Yeah, and I thought about that, right? I've now, I am methodical in like when I post, in like seven is minimum, but I just the exact same thoughts. Like, I am vlogging my whole day, but just in the new era. I'm just posting, let's say, once every hour, and it's easy enough to consume for someone who might not have too much time to be on TikTok, but I will for sure be on your feed, and they'll consume it every 1 minute, every hour, and in the way that on TikTok algorithm is if someone engages, actually likes one of your videos, it will keep pushing to that same person who liked that video. So so it will make sure that person that likes your stuff will pop up on their feed.
Totally.
And
Can I ask you a question though? Because this is really fascinating to me. Breaking up your day into bite-sized pieces, okay? Because the kind of like the misconception was typically we always thought that long-form content creators have a better ability to create that connection and then the relationship and the trust because you're watching them for longer. But what you're proving is, even though technically it is still short form, right? Vertical reels on Instagram, for me at least, right? I know you're on TikTok and other platforms. What's happening is because you're showing up through the day, you're getting that audience view duration throughout different clips, which is perfect because how many times do people check their Instagram? At least for me, it could be like 3 to 5 to maybe 10.
Yeah.
So if you're there on the top of the feed, that's as good as me watching a 10 to 20 minute vlog of my wife's, right? And getting that same like AVD. You're just getting it throughout the day. That kind of mind blowing, and that's what's the thing. You really pioneered this idea of doing 5 to 7 uploads a day, at least here in Seattle.
Yeah.
And you're reaping the fruits of your, like harvest. Basically,
100%. Yeah, I had a comment once that they said they will watch my videos from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. because I'll usually always upload 1 or 2 videos around that time, and then they'll do their 9 to 5. But then when they come home, they'll come home to their partner and they'll watch the next 5 videos because they know that I uploaded 5 videos and they'll just watch it all back to back. And they're like, it's like a small little vlog, and that's really nice.
That is really cool.
I'm going to give you a suggestion that I think would be game changer. You do all these reels throughout the days. What do you call them? Like just videos?
Yeah.
You do all these videos throughout the day, right? They're at whatever time it is. And then do you do a longer one at the end of the day? This is the reason why. Just like what you said, they're literally just going on Instagram. They're not even checking on you. You just show up on the top of their feed, right? So they get these bite-sized pieces throughout the day. And at the end of the day, they can watch you like on a longer form. And it's a great follow-up to Alex Key. You'll benefit on both sides. The short form, just like quick hits, and then the long form, just like slower, more relaxed viewing kind of session.
Are you talking about like doing like a recap type thing, like a separate video from the ones that he's been posting?
I'm saying but because we are short on our time, let me just like really introduce John, okay? He's been creating content probably like for over a decade, but not really seriously. He took it seriously about 12 to 18 months ago, okay? We can argue when he made it start, but he's being recognized in the city for the last 12 months. And his claim to fame, at least from a creator standpoint, what made me impressed was he's doing 5 to 7 videos a day. Not all the time, right? But still, between Sunday and Saturday, it's a lot of videos.
Yeah, the minimum will be 7, and then like when I'm really like like what Alex said, like in the moment and I feel it, sometimes I can do 15. You know, like yesterday I could have done so many because I just felt it, you know?
Yeah.
But, you know, today it's like 7.
Yeah, and so when you're asking the question about like what is it, like a recap, what I'm saying is you do these little adventures. That's what I call them, adventures of your day, or just like thoughts of the day, or topics of the day, right? Like if there's something happening, it's crazy, like I'm partitioning you into like these like different buckets. And at the end, whatever it is that you're doing, it could still be an adventure, it could be a topic, it could be a thought, just make it way longer. What is the longest on Instagram now that you can go?
20.
20?
20. 64 video, 24 reel.
I'm telling you, I bet you could do like a 3, 4, 5 minute video, and a ton of people will end their day watching that.
I actually tested that out yesterday.
No way.
So you know the interview questions that I asked you guys, right? That actually was like 6 minutes or 5 minutes, and I don't have on Instagram. I'm still not invited to the 20-minute, so I can't post longer than 3 minutes. But I tested it out on TikTok, and I never post more than like 2 minutes, just because I always thought people don't want to watch that long. But I was like, screw it. I'll put everyone's interviews. It was like 5 minutes, and it does. It's like 8,000 views, right? And so people will consume it. You know, people will, and that's what I'm learning. So that is something actually I tested out yesterday just to see what it was, how people would react.
You should start doing it. Okay, and so kind of, you didn't see this part when we're talking about this earlier. Alex Key really did change my mind that you could be a long-form content creator on a vertical platform. And this is what's great about it. They're already there. You don't have to get them to YouTube, right? This is me being the YouTube secrets guy. You know, I love long-form, I love live streaming. But man, why do you have to move away from that platform if you still get the same benefits you would have got on YouTube? Now, the one thing you don't get is AdSense, right? So yes, but if you have other forms of income, which is going to be another podcast, then you're all good. But what starts the brand deals, all the opportunities, is the relationship and trust. And if you get it on Instagram or TikTok, right, that is better than other people being on YouTube and not having that.
I would love us to, since we're getting close to the end here, to come away with just 2 or 3 sentences of what your biggest takeaway was from the event, whether it be emotional, informational, anything that you had. I can begin if that's okay with all the 3 of you. To me, I think the most important thing was that idea of the power of storytelling. And John, I think we just talked about it with you, that for you, it shows up as bite-sized bits throughout the day, but it's still storytelling. And the fact that brings people in, gets them emotional, and gets them trusting you and loving you like your family, right? That is, I think, the power of what I learned yesterday about storytelling. Doc?
For me, it is the power of connecting with people who kind of get you. I think one thing as a creator, you often feel like folks don't get you.
Yeah.
So when you ever have the opportunity to put yourself in an environment, to be around people who get you, do it. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, but it's so hard, or it costs money, or I gotta travel, or whatever. Yo, the sacrifice is well worth it, because everybody wants to be seen. But you will walk away with some gems that's kind of hard to pull off otherwise, right? And it also gives you opportunity to learn some things from folks. Because me, I'm like Benji, the YouTube guy. I would tell him to move into YouTube. And now we got dual shot recorder that can do both the vertical and the horizontal at the same time.
Yes.
I'm gonna like take those long ones and just throw it up on YouTube.
Yes.
But don't just throw anything. Let's be intentional about it. And so if there needs to be a game plan to slowly move it over, then we'll get game plan with it. But dude, I'm just saying, I learned a lot, and I'm happy to be a part of this. I'm super honored.
Thank you for coming. John, what about you?
I think for me was Alex's, just knowing that, because I had the same thought of that one person that told Alex, how do you go about, how are you so methodical on the script writing, the music? And because I had the exact same question always. And for him to just say, oh, this is secondhand. I just felt this. It just felt like it needed to be like this. I felt like, wow, okay, like I feel like that with my stuff. So to hear him do it, that he just does it naturally, was like, okay, like I see it. It was like a reassurance.
Yeah.
So it was awesome.
Well, yeah, I'll end it. Obviously, it was an event that I founded with Austin, obviously. And my biggest takeaway is confirmation that together we're going to be better. and that we can learn from creators that are in different niches, different format of content, different platforms. In fact, that is the power. We get too caught up in doing what other people are doing and doing it better, when what we should be doing is experimenting to find what's something different and novel and sets us apart. And sometimes you can get an idea from somebody else that's doing something completely different from you. And that's what happens when you have someone like Alex Key talking to like an old fogey like me. I'm like, I could do it a little bit different, right? Or Jie Mei doing live streams. I had a real estate agent, really successful one that said, you know what? I'm going to start doing vertical live streams because of those twins. So
That's awesome.
And I literally hang out with the guy all the time, right? So sometimes you need to hear from other people succeeding, and just the power of creators gathering together. And that's why I think the Seattle Creator Summit is really important for creators in this community, and honestly, like all around the country.
I'm going to pull this over to myself. We always end the show nowadays with a segment from the Steve Jobs archive called Letters to a Young Creator. This one's from Pete Docter, who is the chief creative officer of Pixar since 2018. He's been there forever. And here's what he said. Dear young creator, it's taken me 30 years to really be conscious of how I approach making films, and my process changes all the time. But the one common thing, which I believe deeply, is that making something is a discovery. I'm trying to find ideas from beneath or beyond or wherever they come from, so that when I'm done with what I'm making, I have found something greater than what I already knew. Here are a few things that have helped me. 1, start with whatever shows up. Go as far as you can on that initial confidence and enthusiasm. 2, start fast and rough. Worry about the details later. 3, each day, start by pretending you've never seen it before, with no expectations or preconceptions. Take it in as your audience will. See what it is, not what you hope it is. Then change or add to make it better. 4, don't try to make and analyze at the same time. These are two different processes. Analyze can easily strangle make, which is actually more useful. 5, expect to get lost. You'll get too close to see objectively and lose your initial enthusiasm. Keep going. 6, if you're stuck, change up the way you're working. For example, go for a long walk and ruminate on the most important part, or settle for lousy. Do something so you can change it, or show what you've got to someone who's never seen it, or go do something irrelevant. Sometimes inspiration comes from seemingly unconnected places, but this only seems to work after you've struggled for a while. Or, and this is the last one, by now the idea should inhabit your subconscious. Use your night brain and wake up with answers. 7, every so often back up and describe the project so others could finish it. Describe why it should be made, not how. Hopefully by now there are deeper layers to what initially got you excited. 8, after 2 or 3 days of being stuck or lost, work on something else for a bit. Still stuck? Make major changes. Still stuck? Put the project on the shelf and move on. 9, give yourself a real deadline, ideally that someone else controls. When you run out of time, you're done. Pete Docter. Thank you, Doc and Cortese, for joining us on today's episode of the show. And of course, thanks to our sponsor, Ecamm Live, the powerful live streaming platform for Mac. Again, I did it a second time. Ecamm. Your Mac's creative studio. Sorry, I'll get it next time. I promise.
It's going to take me some time, fam, and I've been there.
You can learn more about Ecamm at the link in the show notes, and you get 15% off and support the show with our code BenjiTV15. As always, thanks to the students of Vlogging Academy, and thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week.